All right, we need to reconvene Congress and see if we can't press through the sausage grinder of some sort of piece of legislation. All right, we're in section 7, paragraph 2, to remind ourselves of what we're doing other than just having fun and killing class time. Paragraph 2 there says, every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it become law, be presented to the President of the United States. Can somebody tell me a point of controversy with that presentment clause? That's not what we were doing with their pretend Congress, but we did talk about how that rather seemingly, seems relatively obvious what should happen there, but Congress has gotten that wrong.
Are you talking about like the organizations and portions like that?
Yeah. All the regulations and things from OSHA are never presented to the president. They're law, but they're never presented to the president. And the Supreme Court has said that that's okay. Anyway. Sometimes I just don't think about it because it hurts. All right, to read something and then have the Supreme Court say, it doesn't mean what you think it means. Trust us. All right, we were going through how it goes to the House of Representatives and the Senate. Just in my copy here, just 2 lines of the Constitution, but it really is a very, very complicated and time-consuming process. And it was intentionally meant to be that way. All right? And again, this whole process we're going through, all that's mandated is the House and the Senate approve it. The actual mechanics of how it goes to the committees and all of that, there's nothing mandated in the Constitution. Who does get to make the decision about how all that stuff happens? Who remembers that? Josh?
It's judicial branch.
That would be a violation of one of the core principles of the Constitution, separation of powers. I thought you raised your hand, Amanda. But no. I'll let you answer anyway. You don't want to? Are you saying you don't want to answer or you have no clue?
Well, considering I don't have any of my notes on my computer, then I have no clue right now.
I don't even have my computer with me.
Well, my computer kind of crashed and wiped everything off, so I don't have anything.
Oh.
Except your memory.
Which isn't any good right now.
It crashed prior to the computer. Josh.
Can't Congress and then vote to change how they
Yeah,
operate?
either the House and the Senate, they make the decision about how it operates. So the new Speaker of the House could say we're going to, we're not going to have committees, and every piece of legislation we're just going to meet as one big group and talk about however they want to do it. He could say we're not going to have no discussion, no debate. I'm just going to schedule a date that we're going to come and vote, and you can research on your own and talk to other people about it, and we'll just come in and vote. They can do it however they want to. All right. The only thing that's mandated is the House and the Senate approve it. More than 50% vote yes on whatever the piece of legislation is. All right. Last time, let me review at least the steps as I have them in my notes. The first step, it has to be proposed in one of the houses. Okay, our example, we started with the House of Representatives. There's nothing special about the House of Representatives other than bills that involve raising taxes and spending money. Those have to start in the House. Otherwise, this could happen in the Senate just as well. So proposed, then it has to get sent to a committee. And in the committee, there was a debate and discussion and adding amendments, and they took their trips to other climates to study the effects of the proposed law, and had, I forgot, you also had to meet with lobbyists from the industries that were going to be involved or affected by the new piece of legislation. At Ruth's Chris and the Chard House and some of the fancy swake restaurants around, just to be able to talk in a quiet setting over this thing. So that is what happens. If you hear about these lobbyists going to Congress, and they do stuff like that, trying to talk to the representatives, which isn't illegal. All right, that is not illegal to do that. If somebody from the industry that's involved comes and says, here, let me give you this $10,000 ring for your wife, please consider voting for a piece of legislation this way. That's illegal, right? But for them to meet with them and talk to them, there's nothing illegal about that. All right, so it's sent to a committee, they debate, discuss, etc. There we had some amendments added. It gets sent to the full House for the vote. There we had the same type of discussion and things going on. They vote to pass or kill it. If they vote no, then it's done. All right, they voted to pass it, which we have to for illustration, so it goes to the other House. And don't we have a defector here? Was Davey in the Senate?
And also Megan was in here. So can she be part of the Senate? Oh, yeah, I was.
Yeah. You know,
You don't want her in the House?
No, but you want her in the Senate.
You want her in the Senate? We can throw you in the Senate. You can stay seated where you are, but you... What's that?
Can we vote if we want to take
You guys are the final judge of all the elections and qualifications. Just say she's too young.
That makes it balanced power in the Senate.
He's got a point there.
All right, Senate, do you want to accept the 2 new members?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, it's 3. Who wants to deny the admittance of the 2 new members? You can't vote. Who's going to not vote? So, all right, I guess you made it in. It was 3-2. Whew. It's close. It'd be pretty rough when you can't even make it into Congress and they're pretend sitting there. Really unpopular. Okay, so it goes to the other House, then it gets sent to a committee, and I think we had it assigned to a committee, and I don't remember who was on the committee. Christina? No, it was a Senate committee.
Oh, it
It was Christina
Oh,
and Davis.
and then us 3 here.
Yeah, it was three of us who were sitting out front.
Were the committee?
Christina and David got assigned to
Christina and
the
David were
Senate.
chosen.
So then Megan would do Christina and David.
Yep.
Wow. Is that yes to which thing that was thrown out? Oh. Okay, so Christina and Davey are the committee? And who is the secretary?
Not being the secretary.
Wasn't somebody keeping track of what the law actually was? Can you read to us what the law is right now that the committee has to consider?
All right. Trilogy is abolished. The amendments were added. Boys and girls dorm are equally judged during weight loss. Coffee and donuts in a 15-minute break between classes. Dinner is on the same sheet, and no ravioli for dinner.
Okay, so that's where it is. That's the bill that was given to you guys. You can talk about it.
We forgot one part of that.
Well,
You guys can add amendments. Oh, okay. We need to add amendments.
that's right. You're in the Senate, so you'll get a chance in a second. Right now, it's Christina and Davey. They have to decide if they want to add things. You can just pass it as it is and be done with it. Call in some special representatives to talk to us about it. People from the food service industry. Drag Mr. Wright up here to explain the health benefits of ravioli to you. Or maybe the character building traits of ravioli.
I say that we abolish one of the amendments,
Okay.
the equality of dorm check.
Okay, right now it's just the committee that gets to vote. You guys, everyone else, if they have you come in as a guest to speak, you can, but otherwise it's just the committee. So just tell them,
Is it just us two, or is she on the committee now?
well, the Senate would decide. The full
Sorry,
Senate.
gonna vote.
Josh is a Democrat.
You don't live in the dorm. You're on their side.
No, but she helps us with White Club. She
Yeah,
knows what we go
This is
through.
true.
And we haven't yet decided which cleanliness standard we're going to change to. We could clean the guys to the girls' dorm, or clean the girls' dorm to the guys' dorm standard. Okay.
I voted to put on that committee.
Megan's on the committee now? Okay. You've succeeded in life. All right, committee. He's wanting to abolish the cleanliness standard rule. What do you think?
Ridiculous. Megan, Christina.
Which part is ridiculous? Getting rid of it or keeping it?
Hey, I need to think this through.
What's that?
I vote against it.
Against it.
What?
Are you saying
No,
Yeah.
to get rid of it.
you want to get rid of the amendment?
Why?
Megan.
Okay, so Davey wants to get rid of it. It doesn't matter what you think because they outvoted you. So, okay, so the amendment is gone.
Sorry. Those are your not friends anymore.
We do have here a little bit of John Boehnerisms here. I just bring that because he's rather effeminate in lots of things, and that's kind of a girl trait. I'm not your friend anymore. I know you're joking, but okay. Committee, anything else you want to add, or do you want to send it to the full Senate? They can if they want. The committee can.
Guys, don't you want to add an amendment? The rule book should be optional.
Should we get rid of classes too? While we're it would just be a social club. Never have to go
We
anywhere.
wouldn't have like Greek learning centers where we all discuss
The whole
things.
demerit.
Oh,
We can do stuff to help investigate if we should pass this bill, right?
in theory.
In theory,
Yeah.
I say that we should adjourn for a class field trip. In order to contemplate the deeper meanings of
I second
law.
that.
We'll go on the way to my ex.
Okay, we're back now.
Okay.
Then we took a month-long break. Some of you went to Hawaii to look at universities there. Some went to Florida. Some went to California.
I didn't get to go anywhere.
Others went to Bermuda and St. Thomas. I'm sure they have some universities there. Grenada, some medical schools. So. Some of maybe went to Alaska, and, had some good food finally.
So is the bill to the Senate now?
No, it's still sitting in the committee.
Okay. So-
If you ever hear phrases, you'll hear this every now and then if you pay attention, they'll talk about the bill stuck in committee or the committee sitting on it. They just never, if they don't do anything with it, it's it. That's the end of it. So we are going to have you do something with it, but any amendments added?
Yeah.
Once it's out of the committee, then you're part of the Senate and you can add amendments.
Oh, I can?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we add that one?
What? It's not out of the committee. All right. Who wants to? The three in the committee pass it as it is with the amendment gone. Unanimous.
Sweet.
Just like climate change and other things, unanimous. Okay. Now let's do the full Senate. The full Senate here in the end of this has to vote to approve or not approve it, but there would be the same option for discussion and trips and amendments being added and all that kind of good stuff. So the stimulus package from 6 or 8 years ago that had, I think it was 1,048 or something amendments added to it. Yeah, there's a lot. So anyway, and again, there's no rules about the amendments dealing with the topic, which is, if you ever want to find out a really, really stupid way of doing something, have Congress organize it, or any branch of government basically organize it, and they will find the most inefficient way to do it. All right, that is. I went to pay my property taxes yesterday, online, and I get to the page where it would take me to actually pay it, and they said, "Oh, we're having problems with our
Server.
not server, just the website. Right now, you can only use Firefox to pay your bills." And it had a link there to download Firefox. But they did say, we should have this fixed by early next year.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. That's the Porter County website. All right, by early next year, we'll have this fixed.
Even Joel can fix it faster than
I was thinking, this isn't that complicated. But we're talking about a government agency. Government agency. Imagine you go to buy something on Amazon or something. It's, oh, I'm sorry, you have to wait till next year. So yes, if you want to find an inefficient way to do it, have a government agency organize it. And they have special formulas to come up with the most inefficient way. They work very hard at it. So, This is a rabbit trail, but at the heart of it is there's no profit motive. It's funny to hear politicians talk about we're going to introduce business principles. There's no profit motive. The guy, John Snyder, who's in charge of the website and all that, he gets paid regardless of whether or not the county makes money. Okay. If his pay was connected to people actually paying their property taxes, that would get fixed today. Right? There's no profit motive. So it's not possible to introduce business principles into government. So, okay, full Senate, what are we doing?
Do we add an amendment?
Sure.
Okay. So I think that...
Or you can attempt to. It's got to be voted on by the
I
rest
think
of
that to connect the ravioli and these other things together, that we need to have kind of a main amendment added that once a semester there should be a day where students can give demerits to staff. That way it keeps the...
How does that fit with the others?
It's the checks and balances. Checks and
Okay.
balances, yes.
So
Once a semester.
what is the day called where the girls ask the guys out? Sadie Hawkins? So this is kind of a Sadie Hawkins demerit day or
Staff
something?
Hawkins.
Staff Hawkins. Okay, so one day where the staff gets demerits from the students. What would be same infractions, or would there be different infractions? Are you thinking that we would seek revenge? Yeah, you're right. We are.
Extracurricular testing.
What's that?
Extracurricular testing may be included.
Extracurricular testing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got it. That would be one of the merits we could give to you.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, all right. Senate, what do you think about the Sadie? What do we call it?
Staffy Hawkins.
Staffy Hawkins demerit day. All for it?
We'll do it
One.
on the last day of school, so
Last
we
day
can
of
get
school.
back on our.
3. Oh, we got 3 out of 7. 4 out of 7. Okay, that is added. Staff Hawkins demerit day. That has never come up before, so congratulations.
That's so much.
So I'm sure.
Mr. Raby suggested it to me.
All right, yes.
I want to abolish the amendment of abolishing Schoology.
Oh.
Wants to keep Schoology.
I second that.
That's not a minute, that's the main bill.
That's the main bill.
Can you do that?
Sure,
You're about to-
sure.
It's just the underlying violation of it.
All right, so unabolish Schoology. Is that what I said? All right, so Senate, yes or no? We got 2. 3.
Sarah?
Still 3 to 4.
Sorry.
You got to break one of the girls.
Megan?
I'll be the word. Megan, you know you like
Josh.
you bag butters and what?
Megan, we will teach you.
Don't listen.
We are seeing here what really happens in Congress. Okay.
Schoology is actually very efficient.
Don't
Very
listen.
good. You can submit your
Can we make
extension
Josh the
reports.
official bribe?
Official bribery.
Wow.
Okay, so any of you girls going to join with them?
Nope.
They're holding strong. Okay, so sorry. It is re-abolished.
They're offering this to us.
It is unabolished. I don't know. It stays as it was. So. All right, anything else? Now that type of stuff it usually doesn't happen while they're sitting in the Senate chambers as a group, but they will frequently talk privately. You know, I'll vote for your bill, you vote for mine, or a certain caucus, certain group of people that work together will contact another group that work together, and they will scratch each other's back. Figuratively speaking. Yes.
I would like to amend the amendment that Schoology is legal, but the alternative way is also legal too. Each student can pick how they want to do it. So that way those that would like to stick with Schoology can, and those that wouldn't can take their quizzes in the library if they want to. No,
Too socialistic. So Schoology would be optional, basically.
Schoology is optional.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Senate? Schoology is optional.
That's okay.
Unanimous. All right. So Schoology is now optional. There have been cases, and probably a lot of cases, where the person who proposed the bill ends up voting against it because of this type of stuff. You know, say, wait a second, that's not what I intended. Or there's all kinds of amendments added that they don't like, so they vote against their own bill. So that has happened. I'm telling you, it's Congress. You want to find a stupid way to do something, they'll show you. Okay, Senate, we're done?
Yeah.
All right, so we got to vote on the final piece of legislation. We won't have Mary read it all again yet. You know, I should have had you, we need to also know what the House passed, or at least, well, we know that it was different. That's all we need to know. So, all right, Senate, yes or no on the bill as it stands? Typically at this point, they would have a reading of the bill and you'd have a chance to look at it, but, you know, we're good enough. All right, so passed unanimously. This is scary. I mean, when you get unanimous decisions, you get global warming, all right? That's a scary place to be. Okay, so we have it, we're at step 7 in my count. It went to the Senate committee, then it went to the full House, or the full Senate in this case for a vote, and then the 7th step is it goes to a conference committee. All right, what we have now is 2 different bills that were passed. And both houses have to approve the exact same bill, the exact same wording, exact same language, everything exactly the same. So at this point, there's what's called a conference committee, a group of people from the House and a group of people from the Senate that get together to mesh the 2 bills and come up with a final piece of legislation. Okay? And we'll let either house pick. You can send 2 people to the conference committee. And those 4 then will have to decide on the final language of the bill. All right, so House, who do you want to send?
Serenity.
Oh, no,
Robert Hauser.
We can send 2.
Okay, well.
Okay, Serenity and Robert.
All right, Serenity and Robert, House. 2, 3. Robert's not voting for himself. We got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think, how many voted for those 2? 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got it. Very frequently.
Keep saying me when I'm not voting.
Good job. Good. It keeps you awake. All right, often there would be a group of people that are just typically on this conference committee. It wouldn't have to be a special vote every time necessarily. But all right, so we got Serenity and Robert, Senate.
We're going to go with Davey and Josh.
Dave and Josh. Do we need a vote?
Guys, we need to go on the guy at least.
All right, this is
All right, Senate, who wants to go with Davey and Josh?
All right, fine.
Sorry, join the crowd. So, okay, let's limit the discussion to those 4 just for sake of time and sanity. Everyone else just zip it. Mary, can you read for us again what just read what the Senate passed?
All right.
And those 4 have to decide what's staying, what's going, and get one final piece. So.
Schoology is optional. Coffee and donuts and a 15-minute break between classes. Dinner is put on the sign-up sheet. No ravioli for dinner. And once a month, students can give staff demerits. It's the staff walking demerit day. It's the last day of school.
And how does one do it? Semester now? Yeah.
It's once a semester. That's
Yeah.
what it's for.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought you said once a month. But,
no.
okay. Oh, you are ready for Congress. She can't even read right. So. Okay, committee members. You need to. I mean, you can just say we like it as it is and vote on it. Once you're done, it's going to go back to both houses, and they've got to vote one more time for the final word. Actually, if you don't make any changes, the Senate will not have to revote. It would just be the House that has to revote.
Can we add amendments from here?
No. Oh, well, that committee, we've got 2 different bills, so they've got to change one or both.
So what do we have to change? What was the difference between that?
Schoology was gone in the House bill, not required, not optional, and there was something else they got rid of.
The dorm check.
The dorm.
Oh, the dorm check. Those 2 things were in the House bill, but not in the Senate bill. So you guys need to decide if you want to put those back in or leave them out, or put one in and leave the other out.
Can they make another amendment?
I think technically yes, but more typically at this point they're taking the 2 bills that had been proposed and kind of meshing them, not adding in new ideas. But we're talking about Congress here, so.
Davey, I said we abolish white.
Whoa! Oh no, sorry, you are on the committee.
Sorry.
I said we abolish white glove for the boys' norm, the guys' norm. Leave
You
the
guys
girls.
need it more. No.
I
Oh, no.
she's
I say
once
that the
every
girls,
white
we
club.
hire
You're
them.
not.
No.
Hire them.
Girls are allowed in the.
I say the girls have to white glove the guys go.
Oh.
It's in the level of standard.
Oh, you know better. The dorm, the town girl students have to white glove the guys in the dorm. They're not in the girls' room.
I am not.
Do we provide hazmat suits?
I'm paying for that, how about you? Yeah.
We have to be paid
Robert?
or something.
You little.
Well, Serenity might go for it. She's not a dorm student. I mean, she's not a town student.
Yes, but think
So
of the
wouldn't
town
that
students that
technically
help
be
you out.
against the handbook rules because the handbook rules?
No.
It's just abolishing.
You are changing the handbook
The
here.
amendment that you wanted was that it's equal, right? So I say we keep it equal if the girls from the
I
town.
wanted to change it so that the people who were inspecting the dorms would be the same for both groups. And it'd say whether the standards, and so it could be like a group of staff men and staff ladies that are inspecting both
It has to
dorms.
be.
So it wouldn't be like, it'd be like maybe a little bit looser for the girls and a little bit stricter for the guys. But I mean, it's just, that way it's.
This fairness and equality stuff is way overrated.
I see your reasoning, but I don't agree with it.
Guys, I was very contented and happy in the dorm as it was. I mean,
I say that.
I can go clean the car out and my wife will come out and say, "Did you do anything?" I said, "Yeah, I did."
Exactly. Okay, I see we pass it as it is, but then we add kind of an amendment that then we have to check Mr. Schrock's and Mrs. Ramos's house for white glove. They have to white glove theirs. We have to check that.
The dorm parents.
That way they know, they're held the same standard that we are, that way they can sympathize.
So we don't have an aristocracy ruling the common.
It's always, oh yeah.
She has types.
Always white glove.
She has what?
She's called phallus.
So good, then she's held to a higher standard.
So it should be a.
We were doing the same,
Mr. Strong, that is white glove.
Mr. Schrock.
it's like the same group, it should be a group of staff members.
We still have that in play. He's just wanting to add in that the dorm parents are also inspected. What about all the staff living in the
Yeah,
dorms?
all staff. A student's assigned to their house each semester.
It should be a group of students.
A group of students, yeah. That way it's not biased.
What about town students? Do we get to bring their house?
No.
Well, they might need to be inspected as well.
They're bad too.
So how about we just leave it at a committee of at least 3 has to go and inspect each staff person's house?
Yeah.
No.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
And also,
Do that 3 4 can do it.
what about with the town students?
Town students,
We help the dorm students.
Yeah, I think of all we do is make your life better.
I think the town students as well should, you know.
We can't help it, Megan, if you're strange and enjoy cleaning.
3 hours to help do white glove. I think that's reasonable. Yep, to help clean the dorm.
So they can
So
be-
girls help the girls dorm for 3 hours. They clock it in. The guys have to come help the guys for at least 3 hours.
Why? That sounds.
Because it's your duty.
Paying you dues.
It's in the contract.
Is 3 hours long enough to get that ping pong tournament in?
The what?
That ping pong tournament?
Okay.
We're cleaning!
So I like that amendment.
Okay, so,
Equally represented here.
what's that?
We're not equally represented. No.
There we are.
All
She's-
4 of these guys are dorm students.
Exactly.
You picked them?
You should. No,
They picked them. You picked those two.
No.
Well, you voted for.
There should have been a guy and a girl.
Oh. All right, so the amendment being included here, committee, we need to vote. Who's for it? 2, 3. Oh, unanimous again? Okay, so Mary, you got it?
Yes.
All right, the other thing that I think was really in question was Schoology. Something's got to happen with Schoology. You guys said optional, this half said gone.
I agree with being optional.
And we've got to,
Optional.
optional committee?
I have a question. Is that implying that the teachers think it's optional or the students?
Well, it's left open-ended right now, so the courts would decide that in the end, unless you guys specify. That is a good question. And really, that is the type of thing that would happen if they just said it's optional.
We should have necessary.
It would end up in the courts, and that they would decide, does that mean both the teacher and the students could decide, or just the students, or just the teacher? That would end up in court. So what she's saying is, who gets to decide if it's optional? The teacher, it goes by teacher?
No.
Or is it the students that get to decide, or is it both? Some teachers could say, I'm not going to take anything on Schoology. Make it turn in
How
by.
about this to make it equal? We make it optional if they take out the snapshot and put a Starbucks in. We can add that, right? No, it's perfect, because Starbucks offers free wireless signal, so the Schoology that's optional, we can go there to use their.
You're going to make a good liberal someday with that kind of logic.
What is that one thing that comes up every year that has?
I'm sorry?
What is the one thing that has come up every year that hasn't come up yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's wait and see. It might come up yet. We're very close to it, but it hasn't come up. You guys have proposed something that's never been proposed. What was it? You said it. Oh, the Staff Hawkins Day. The Schoology thing never has come up either, but that's new.
Band demerits, does that come up every year?
Band demerit, yeah, things along that line, yes, to come up
So does
every
that sound fair? We make it optional if we have a Starbucks in the snack shop?
Well, speaking of conference, like.
Why don't we
And
just
the-
have
and-
Starbucks and the snack shop?
Because they cannibalize each other for competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
So
like
that would make them keep their
Sarah used to work there.
Yeah!
So what?
Josh, free
No, they
enterprise.
have food, they have breakfast sandwiches, they're delicious.
They don't have ice cream.
Dinner food. Yeah, dinner.
They don't have ice cream.
Guys,
Both of them.
No, so Starbucks on one side and then McDonald's on the other. Oh, Chick-fil-A. Oh, wait, how about this? Scrap Starbucks, let's just replace the snack shop with Chick-fil-A.
Ooh.
No, we need coffee.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay, so Starbucks and Chick-fil-A.
Free enterprise.
I think we need to go to Chick-fil-A right now to make sure that it's quality.
Just taste us at all.
So
Okay, so what is the idea?
the idea is we make Schoology optional and we replace the snack shop with half Starbucks and half Chick-fil-A.
Okay, committee? All in favor? All right, Robert's a good Southerner, it's Chick-fil-A there, he's on it, so.
I'm surprised you didn't see his name.
Okay, anything else?
Davey?
For the sake of argument, let's abolish wake up and go to bedtime.
I bet that was something.
Okay, that is said before. All right, abolish wake up and bedtimes.
Oh, only if the water fountains dispense
Only
Coca-Cola.
for sophomores.
Is it still a water fountain at that point?
Even when those machines were like 100 months later.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna have a colored drinking fountain? It'd be Coke. What are you thinking? Coke.
I say the freshmen still have it though.
Yeah.
And to make it equal, we don't have it sophomore and above, since we're all sophomores and above here, but we have once a semester freshman flogging day.
Josh thinks too much.
All freshmen have to take a polar bear for plunge.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta cut this off. Who wants to do the no wake up, no bedtime? Let's just do that part. Just the committee. Who wants to do that for freshmen, for sophomore and above? No bedtime, no wake up time. Okay, can you add that, Mary?
Yes.
Who wants to do the freshman hazing program? That would include the flogging and the polar bear plunge. Okay. All right, so freshman hazing is now added. If this is really going to be a piece of legislation, there'd have to be some details about who organizes the freshman hazing, and but we'll just leave it as it is. Okay, now we need that committee to vote on the final piece of legislation. You've gone back and forth, you've got the two bills meshed, and you pulled in a couple other things here just for good measure.
They all relate.
What's that?
They all relate.
Yeah, you can add stuff about tricycle, it doesn't matter. But we're done. All right, committee, yes or no to the final piece here?
Yeah.
He's going to vote with it. So, okay, now we have it out of the committee. That's step 7. Step 8 is it goes back to both houses. At this point, I guess technically you could add an amendment, but then it has to go back to the conference committee and the two changes meshed again. So typically at this point, there's no amendments added. The language is frozen. It is what it is, and you have to vote yes or no on the piece of legislation as it is. So go through it one more time.
Schoology is optional. Coffee and donuts and a 15-minute break between classes. Dinner is put on the sign-up sheet. No ravioli for dinner. The staff Hawkins Day. A white glove committee of 3 total check the staff houses, and town students have to help the white glove for at least 3 hours.
Now, you know, to be fair, should we make the town students mow the, I'm sorry, the dorm students mow the town students' lawns?
Yeah.
Because they don't help you with your chores. Huh? So, okay, that's what happens when you're the minority town students. It doesn't matter. You were born that way. Okay, sorry, Mary.
If they take out the snack shop, they take out the snack shop and put in Starbucks and Chick-fil-A. Abolish wake-up and bedtimes except for the freshmen, and there is a freshman flogging day.
Okay, so, well, hazing, flogging. I was going with hazing because that allows us to do more things.
Yes, okay, we were going to add an unnecessary proper clause.
Okay, let me make a few comments here before we vote. We talked before about the original makeup of the Senate and the House were very different, and how the Senate was made up of representatives from the state governments and the House was elected by the people, and how both views had to see the legislation and agree to the final piece. Does it make a little more sense now about why all of a sudden the Senate being just elected by the people, that the states have no say? All right. The staff in this pretend committee, or this pretend Congress, has no say. Right? You guys can do what you want, and there's nothing we can do. If this was rearranged and we had the Senate being some of the staff, that would give you a much better picture of the way Congress was intended to operate. All right, much better picture. So, also we talked about some of the positions in Congress. One of them I think we mentioned was the Sergeant at Arms, who's there to make sure order is followed and make sure people don't talk longer than they're supposed to or just yell out of turn. You can see why that sometimes is needed. And then also, we didn't allow the Senate to filibuster, but when it was coming up to a vote, the last vote before the full Senate, that's the point where one of you guys could have just started talking and kept talking and kept talking. Yeah, you missed it. Right, the Senate doesn't have that option. That's where the House has the Rules Committee. There'd be the committee would decide beforehand how many are going to get to speak and how long they speak. So, okay. Now, once the conference committee looks at this thing, both houses have to vote yes or no on what she read. So let's start with the House. Who wants to vote yes for this final piece of legislation? 1. You're in the Senate.
Where's the whipper?
Just the House of Representatives. This side, minus Megan and Sarah.
Oh, they're
in the Senate, yeah.
So the House is voting, that means you should.
Just the House. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's enough. All right, so it passed 5 to 4 for the official record. This would be typically your name and how you voted included in that congressional record. So, Senate? Yes, no? 2?
Am I in the Senate?
Yes. 3?
Well, they were telling me no, but we're sure.
We need one more vote. 4, 5. Oh, 5 to 7. 5 to 2. 6 to 1. Oh, unanimous. 7-0 in the Senate. So, okay. One more quick rabbit trail. It is very fun to sometimes hear politicians that are running against each other argue. Let's say, "Oh, you voted for a bill that funded something that you say you're against," and the other guy will come back. You know what they're talking about is there'll be one of these bills with 1,000 amendments to it, and you vote yes because the main purpose of the bill is to fund the military. The military appropriations bill is a very common one for amendments to be added. So you're stuck with, do I vote to not fund the military? or kind of hold my nose and just live with the amendment. So that they really can throw mud back and forth at each other, and both of them be right. You voted for this, and you can say, no, I voted against it, and you're both right because of all these crazy amendments that are added. So, all right, what's the last step, number 9?
Make it law.
Before it becomes law.
Oh, is it over the president?
Has to be presented to the president. Once all that is done, that final piece,
Who's the president?
me, gets sent to the president. We already looked at the 4 options that he would have. He could sign it, and it becomes law. He could veto it. What happens with the veto?
It comes back to us.
Goes back to you guys and require 2/3 to pass it, which probably we could get. We had unanimous in the Senate, and the House was 5-4, I think. That's not quite 2/3, but if you guys could sway another person, I think you would have it. So it'd be close. So he could sign it, he could veto it, then we'd have the option of overriding the veto. He could ignore it, and it becomes law. Or he could ignore it, and if Congress adjourns, then it's dead. Okay, so those are the 4 options. We already talked about those before for how it becomes, for what the president can do. So, all right, questions on any of that?
What was the one thing that they want to say?
Food in class. Megan got super close. You got so close. I heard you say coffee in class, and I thought it was going to come, but nobody. It usually starts with food between classes, and then someone says, well, I think we should be able to eat during class, and that usually ends up with, at one point it was the teachers have to provide coffee and donuts and different pastries every class period. Coffee machines in every room, and so. But that's the one thing that has always come up. Okay. Oh, I'm going to veto it.
Oh.
You guys want to override the veto?
How long does all of this take?
Usually months.
Months?
Yeah, usually months. So they will very often in January and February be proposing pieces of legislation, and this time of the year be doing the voting.
Are they allowed to start like at any time of the year?
Anytime they want, yeah. But if Congress ends for the year, then they have to start back over the next year. They can't carry it over to the next year. So it is very interesting. So, okay, we all know how a bill becomes a law. If you think, wow, why would they do it that way? They join the world. Actually, the process is not that bad. I think one of the more stupid things is no regulation about amendments. And that appropriations for the military. That's the one that, if you hear people talking about building libraries in their home district or bridges to nowhere, they throw it onto that bill because they know only crazy people like Bernie Sanders as a socialist want to have on their record that they voted against the military. I mean, nobody wants to do that. So that they get swamped with amendments. If we just made it so that amendments had to match the topic, that would change things.
Yeah, I got a question. It seems like, how we had like the 4 people in the end, we call it the committee or topic or whatever. So it seems like basically it all boils down to whatever they want. So is that how it really works? So basically, for example, you'd have 4 people in Congress, and basically whatever they want, that's what happens?
Well, it would still go back to both houses to be approved, but yeah, that conference committee, they would decide about the final language and all of that, yeah. So, yeah.
How do they pick who's in the conference?
Each house picks,
Just like that.
just a vote, yeah. There's usually kind of how Congress is split up. If there's 60% Democrats and 40% Republicans, that committee kind of matches that composition, about 60-40. They try to match that kind of stuff, but they don't have to. It could be all Republicans. All that would mean is instead of smashing our thumb with an 8-pound sledgehammer, we would smash it with a 6-pound sledgehammer. It's the same result, just a little bit slower with the Republicans. So. Looks like she already did.
It's nail polish.
I know. She has black nails.
It's green, actually.
You and Caleb Rivera smashed your fingers.
I did on that last time at dinner. I noticed my nails and said, yeah, I did the same.
He painted his nails. We heard it. We heard it. He claimed he painted his nails. So, all right, let's go ahead and try to finish up section 7. Last paragraph, paragraph 3. And then we'll start next class period with the powers that Congress has. There's a listed here explicitly in black and white what Congress is allowed to do. And most of what they do is not on the list. But here's the last paragraph for section 7. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives may be necessary shall be presented to the President of the United States. There's an exception there, which we'll skip for the time being, but basically they're saying anything else that requires all of Congress to agree to, that also has to go to the President. If they, I once was observing the Indiana State Legislature, and they were voting to become a sister republic or democracy with one of the former Soviet republics or something. It was, so there's a representative from that other country there, and it wasn't really a law that they were passing. It was just kind of I think they called it a joint resolution that both parts of the legislature voted on. Anything like that requires both parts to vote on, that also goes to the President. Okay, so can we think of a practical reason to prevent Congress from abusing its authority that they put here? Every order, resolution, or vote to which both houses have to vote has to go to the President. What could Congress do if they wanted to dodge the President for a piece of legislation, if this wasn't here?
You could just say it's not a law.
Yeah, this is a resolution. This is just an order. It's not a law. You don't have any say. All right, there's whatever you call it, it's got to go to the President. Now, the President does this the other direction. He'll make a treaty with Iran and say, well, it's not really a treaty, it's just an executive order or an executive agreement. And, he likes to do it the other way. There's actually some wiggle room there for a difference between a treaty and just an executive agreement. But this deal with Iran is a treaty, and he's just calling it something else. Right? This is to prevent that type of thing. Okay, so we have that. There's the exception there, except upon a question of adjournment. Why in the world is that thrown in there? It seems like kind of insignificant, but adjournment means when when Congress quits meeting, them deciding when to quit meeting. Do we want the President to be able to veto that? Think of the fun. we want to quit next Friday and veto it. Then they're not allowed to quit. So anyway, that really is something that just involves Congress, and it should be within their jurisdiction completely. So that's exempted. All right, it goes on, and before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or being disapproved by him, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the Senate and House of Representatives, according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill. So these orders, resolutions, whatever they call them, the President can veto them, etc. We have the same list of options as if it had been called a bill, basically. All right, that's pretty straightforward, I think.
So based on what you just said, the Congress decides when they can quit, but the President can make special meetings for them to meet,
He can call us for special sessions, yes.
but he can't tell them when they're
No.
meeting.
Well, he can't, he has no say. I mean, he could say, I'm done with it, we've covered what I wanted to, but they would make the final decision to quit. So. All right, wow. It's amazing how quickly you go from energetic and very conversational to class mode. So. All right, let me point out one thing, and then we will stop. If you look at section 8, I just want to look at the language, the grammar of this. Sorry. It starts off, the Congress shall have power to. And if you look at the next kind of paragraph, you'll see to borrow money, to regulate commerce. You'll see all these connected by semicolons. So we have here a listing of all of the powers that Congress have. You could, before all those twos, you could put the Congress shall have power to, and then read the statement. Okay, these are all powers of Congress, and the whole thing is one sentence. You'll see a period before you get to section 9. I've often thought some of these would be great for an advanced grammar final or something. Just diagram it or something. Probably wouldn't be that complicated. I don't know what it is, infinitives or something, have all the twos, just draw little arrows, and I don't know. I forget how you do it, but I've never tried to diagram it. But the whole thing is one sentence, and it is literally the things that Congress is allowed to do. All right? It might surprise us when we get done with it how limited it is. All right? We have a limited list of things that Congress can do. So, all right.